Okay, so it's time for my patented guide to transport in the Philippines. The Filipinos have all kinds of transport, from the original horse-drawn carriages that ply their way around Manila Bay, through to the push-pedal powered trikes where you can see they get pretty tired afterwards. In addition to that, you've got the 100cc trike with the sidecar, and then they like pimping their own rides, whether it's, ironing together their own vehicle or pimping a motorbike. But as you can see, they love transport of all kinds in the Philippines. So let's get on board a few of the different forms and check them out, shall we? And then it's off to my favourite, the jeepney factory at Surau. Trikes and jeepneys are the most common form of transport. Let's get inside each one in turn and see how we get on, shall we?
Well, it's time for another interesting trike ride.
Jeepneys were originally made from US military jeeps left over from World War II and are well renowned for their flamboyant decoration and crowded seating, as you'll see. They've also become a symbol of Philippine culture. Although the original jeepneys were simply refurbished Ford models, they are now made by independently owned workshops throughout the Philippines, the largest of which being Surau outside of Manila. Passenger jeepneys are facing increasing restrictions these days due to pollution controls, as they do consume quite a lot of fuel. A recent study compared the fuel use of a 16-passenger jeepney to being equivalent to a 54-passenger air-conditioned bus. So how much longer we see the jeepney on the road in the Philippines, we'll have to wait and see. What I love the most about the jeepney is meeting people squished inside. I tell you, I absolutely love the Philippines. It's an archipelago that has over 1,000 different islands, so there's such a diversity of things to see and do. In addition to that, the people of the Philippines I find to be so genuinely friendly. So let's continue on with Jason's journey and see what else we discover in the Philippines. Come on, everyone. Okay, so we're still on White Beach in Puerto Galera. Some of the things I should have mentioned to you, that on the island there's so much to see and do. There's waterfalls, there's native peoples, and a whole stack of things to do other than just sit and sun yourself on the beach. Mind you, once you're on the water, there's activities like snorkeling, as well as the obligatory jet ski ride, and anything under the sun. So time for us to leave White Beach and head back to Batangas Pier and continue our journey.
Bye-bye, Puerto Galera.
Well, the good news about the bunker coming back was it was a lot calmer on the sea than getting there. So just remember, if you're coming to Puerto Galera, watch out for the seas because it did get a little bit rough. But the journey back on a sunny day is completely different. So let's head back to Batangas, shall we, and enjoy the trip across. As we watch the mountains roll past, we come back via the town and port of Puerto Galera, which was the home of a Portuguese pirate trading colony many hundreds of years ago. Of course, now it's used as the main trading port for the area and the island of Mindoro. Okay, so from Batangas Pier we make our way back to Manila by local bus. Then from there we swap and get on board, you guessed it, a motorised jeepney on our way to Baguio, which is some 200 kilometres or 135 miles. The trip, believe it or not, takes 6 hours because of the dodgy roads, and depending on whether you've taken the express or the slow stopping everywhere bus, can cost anywhere from $10 to $15 for the trip. Anyway, let's get on board and head to Baguio, city in the clouds. It's the highest elevated major city in the Philippines. It's a city actually held up in the clouds, and hopefully when we get there we'll see the cloud mass over the city as we come in through the mountains. The city of Baguio is the highest elevated city, as I mentioned, in the Philippines. Established by Americans in 1900 at the site of a tribal Ibuloy village, it was designated by the Philippine Commission in 1903 as the summer capital of the Philippines due to its elevation, so people still come there to this day to get away from the heat in the other cities. Baguio is the seat of government in the area, and the name comes from the word Bagu in Ibuloy, which means moss. The city is approximately 5,200 feet height and has a very tropical pine forest, so in addition to being called the summer capital, it's also known as City of the Pines as well. As we watch the mountains roll past, we come back via the town and port of Puerto Galera, which was the home of a Portuguese pirate trading colony many hundreds of years ago. Of course, now it's used as the main trading port for the area and the island of Mindoro. Also known as City of the Pines as well. On next week's show, we're going to cover Baguio in greater depth, including the strawberry fields and fruit bowl capital of the Philippines. In addition to that, it has one of the most beautiful orchidariums and botanical gardens going. We go up to Mines View for a sweeping view and to check out the St. Bernard dogs with sunglasses, and there's a story there. And as well, we get into the tribal history of the Igorot people who survived here for many hundreds of years. On that note, let's get on with the show and actually finish this week's episode with a tribal show of the Igorot people to get you in the mood for next week. Come on, let's watch it. We're going to learn more about the Igorot next week, but very quickly they were the original people of the region who mastered rice farming, were actually headhunters and divided into 6 different ethnic groups: the Bontoc, the Ibaloi, the Ifugao, the Isneg, the Kalinga and the Kankanae. Anyway, let's have a look at a tribal show so you get some idea. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for on this week's show, but make sure you come back next week for part 2 of the Philippines, where we cover beautiful Baguio, the city of the clouds. It's beautiful Burnham Park, the lakes, and we go to Mines View for a breathtaking view of the city and tribal history. In addition to that, by complete contrast, we go to Angeles, the sex capital of the Philippines, for a tour and a half, shall we say. And in addition to that, we head out to Subic Bay, where we go watching tigers and seeing some cockfights in person. So make sure you come back next week for more of Jason's Journeys. Until then, just remember, travel to search for what you need and then return home to find it. Until next week, everyone, this is Jason Ross for Jason's Journeys. Bye for now.